All right, morning, folks. Welcome to the July edition of the Coffee Talk with Nate live chat. And I want to just say that I do apologize. We had to move it to Sunday for today. Some things came up. They're out of my control. I couldn't. I found myself in a position where I couldn't do this on our regular Saturday, first of the month. Before I get into the actual kind of quick discussion, because this won't take long, this will be a short one. Some things that I want to pass on. First off, really big exciting news that doesn't affect any of you, but it affects me and my family. We're moving. We're going to be, in August, you'll get to see a completely different background because I will not be in this office space. We have found a much larger place, so we're really excited about that, and it gives us the opportunity that we can actually do some work for both of our businesses, myself and my wife, from home, which is going to be like really awesome. And I'm not talking about like you speaking. I can do that anywhere. I can make those appointments and make those calls from a public washroom if I really needed to. Not that I would, but just as an example. What it does mean is once everything's ready to go, for life coaching, I will be able to actually have a larger office space and actually working out of, have an office working out of the house, and a clinic space for my wife. So it's really cool. We're really excited that we're going to be doing that. But so in August we will have a completely different background. You'll probably see like a billion different boxes placed behind because we'll still be in the process of like unpacking. Now for August, I should bring this up, I actually won't be speaking. I will be hosting because we have a guest speaker coming in, Kevin Vowles. He's a public speaker. We actually work together in the Voices for Equity Speakers Bureau, but he's going to be taking over, and he'll be talking to you in August. So we're finalizing the details and all of that, but August 3rd he will be my guest speaker. So I'm really amped up about that. And then September you'll just be stuck with me again, but hey, whatever. So let's get into this. Now summer has started and kids are just running wild and free because they've got like the next 2 months off, and that's all well and good, but it really comes down to, as parents, trying to figure out what the heck are we going to have them do for 2 months, because we got to work. We're not in a position where parents can just be home for 2 months and keep an eye on their kids. So like there's a lot of day camps and there's all kinds of things, but there are plenty of households where kids, and I'm like children, pre-adolescent, adolescent, these are all young people who are literally left to their own devices. And I'm not even figuratively speaking. I mean, they are spending their days indoors on their phones, on video games, or just watching TV. They're not really doing anything. And it's been a big concern for a while since we've seen this rise of technology, with a common concern that I hear from parents I speak to is that, or the common complaint I should say, is that their kids are spending way too much time. Like they can't have a decent conversation because their kid's stuck on their phone, or they're glued to the Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. They're just interested in playing Fortnite over, a family meal. Now, I'll come out and say this. That's actually been a concern for a very long time. I know that my parents complained about kids playing Nintendo, and even before that there were complaints about kids playing Atari. So this isn't just a singular generational issue. This is since the rise of technological entertainment and entertainment systems, parents have had this complaint. Now, Generation Z, I have your back. I'm not going to just sit here and rag on the Gen Z group because currently they're the ones that are taking a lot of heat for this. Generation Z is a generation that is very technologically savvy. So this is a group that sorry, I need this. I definitely need that this morning. Generation Z is a group that is basically, they're able to multitask with like a billion different devices around them. These are the young people that could be scrolling on their phone while the TV is going and their Bluetooth is blaring music from whatever channel, and they're able to get their schoolwork done, they're able to go through their notes, they're able to do basically whatever they need to get done academically or just personally with all these other distractions going on. Now, which is great, and they're actually a very financially focused group. Millennials, when it comes to work, this is a group, millennials were, generally speaking, looking for the jobs that they wanted to do because they wanted to do them. Like, they wanted the dream job. Generation Z's more like, I saw my parents kind of deal with the fallout in 2008, so they recognize that they need jobs that will pay the bills. And they need jobs that may not be the dream job, but it could be financially stable. So they're going to be going, as they get older, into the workforce, where they're probably still going to be dealing with a billion different distractions, stressors, whatever. So it's interesting that they're already kind of pre-plugged in, or they're just hardwired for that. But on a face-to-face interaction, or just trying to have some personal interactions with Generation Z, it can be a little tricky because they are so attached to their devices. Now, that falls on the shoulders as well of Generation X's parents. I guess potentially some baby boomers, but I mean, the Z generation, they're looking at Gen X parental role models. So that's on us to be mindful of our own technological use. The reason I want to bring all this up is I love technology. In fact, I am very aware that I'm doing a discussion about the balancing technology with, just life through Facebook. I get that, having to use a social media source, but that's just the world that we live in. There's some stats that are kind of disturbing around use and stressors. Since 2015, there have been reports coming out, and the information has been fairly consistent, that there has been... My battery's about to die again. Give me 2 seconds, folks. We're just going to go mobile. There has been some statistics that have actually come up and shown since 2015 a rise in our depression, anger, conduct disorder, all of that, since we've seen... There's a 90s throwback happening in my kitchen, and I'm not complaining about it, because that's awesome. But, yes, so the biggest concern is, not that you're looking at my notes right now, but my phone's about to die again. So we're going to change it up. There we go. So I was talking about... God damn it. Quick shift. Lean back. There we go. All right. So as I was saying before my phone was about to die, depression amongst pre-adolescents and adolescents, especially that age group that is like 15 to 17 or even 18, the higher use of social media, the higher use of technology, like being glued to their devices, iPads, phones, just being on the internet, there was a rather large spike in depression as being self-recognized, or just have young people coming up and having that diagnosis by a health professional. Now, when you take away the technology, there were some studies that were done that someone who had 2 hours of access to technology, and that could be phones, game systems, whatever, the rate of depressive thoughts or signs of depression went up. But those same individuals, and conduct disorders as well. So like there's depression and anger and like conduct disorders, Now, that same group was also studied with taking it away, limiting technology, and they started to see a decrease. Usually, it was usually about a week, I think it was, that after they had like no access or they had very limited access, that all the depressive behaviors and all the conduct behaviors started to decrease. Now, on the flip side though, when they did have access in the moment, they felt happiest and they felt calm. So to me, that speaks to a larger concern of maybe there's like an addictive nature to some of the social media or just some of the technological advances that we've made, where we feel like we must have it in our lives. Now, it's a fine balance as a parent. It really is. I mean, in our household, we had to, I won't go into all the details, but I will say this. We did sit down as a family and had a rather long discussion and realized that our traditional video game nights, every Friday, it was becoming problematic. Letting our kids hang out and do some computer games midweek was becoming a problem. Our kids would rather be inside and watch Netflix than hop on their bikes, go play with their friends. Like it was becoming an issue. So we discussed it as a family, and for the past month, we've more or less cut out technology. It's been extremely limited. Now, it might sound a little aggressive to go like that far and to do more or less like a cold turkey approach, but I will say this: we've seen a marked improvement. We really have in both of our kids, and not to mention for us as well, because as parents we need to role model this. So other than hopping online for work or like for me to do like research or whatever promotional, if it's not really work, I do what I can not to be on it. And the same with my wife. We've played more board games. We've gone biking. I got back into skateboarding because, I'm outside with my kids again. This is stuff that wouldn't have happened. Well, I shouldn't say wouldn't have, but there'd be less likelihood of having these types of interactions if we hadn't made the change. Now, over the course of the summer, we'll slowly bring it back. We've started doing like movie nights where we sit down and we watch, or we've let the kids start to do campouts again. We haven't played any video games, and they have like little to no access to any kind of like portable devices. They've not been on their laptops. They haven't had access to like my iPad. The only time that they've been on Netflix has been really for like campout situations, and that's again where we're all watching something together. Or, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Stranger Things came out, so like last night it was, you kids can watch whatever you want, mommy and daddy need to get our sci-fi fix. So, but finding that balance is really tricky. Now, I went online and I found a couple of different suggestions, and I mean the first one was of course, what was it, Psychology Today, saying that you need to, you could just cut it out. Just cut it out completely. Which is a cold turkey approach, and it could work, but it could also completely backfire. And speaking as someone who's dealt with, when you try and take something away, you're taking a very authoritarian approach and a stance, and then you're also opening the doors, making it wide open for your kids to just find another way to find it. If they can't watch it at home, they'll just wait till they go to their grandparents, or they're just gonna go to their friend's house. Instead of playing, they're just gonna watch whatever. It really does come down to role modeling. I found this on my own, that this is an approach that we need to take. It's summer, and depending on your own work schedules, depending on your own personal lives, because we all have very busy lives, and I get that. If you have access to any kind of day programming for your kids, sign them up. Like seriously, sign them up. If it's something you can afford, if there's funding for it, that would be the first thing to do, because you're already filling out their day. Now when they come back from that day camp, limit the screen time. Let them know ahead of time that, okay, so when you come back, You're only going to have like 1 hour. So think about how you want to spend that hour. Do you want to play Fortnite? Do you want to go on Facebook or Snapchat, Instagram, whatever? Do you want to watch Netflix for that hour? But it gives them a chance to plan it. Now, it could be a little tricky at the beginning because, you know, you don't want to just like give in. But if you're able to give them that opportunity, it gives them a chance to think it out, plan out their day, and you're also not overloading, you know, their bodies and their minds. Screen time of any type can really kind of overload a sensory system within a child. And there's a number of different reports. It's really difficult for me to cite them all, but if you ever want those points, I can send them to you, to how I got the information. But it's just like, when you limit it, then it also opens the opportunity for just more collective family bonding. If they come home from a day camp and you're just like, okay, go watch TV for the next 3 hours or whatever, or watch it until bed or whatever the situation is, you're going to overload their systems. And you might start to see the same kind of behaviors coming back from what they were already dealing with. Screen time, activities, you know, it actually reduces physical activity, of course, because like you're sitting down, whether you're on the couch or you're just like walking, sitting on the front porch or whatever. If you're on your phone, your head's down. If you're in front of a TV, you're on a couch, you're watching, you're not very active. When you limit it, you're opening up the opportunity for more, they call it green time. That's getting outdoors, that's being physically active. And I mean, exercise, I could go on and on about talking about the benefits of exercise because, I mean, like, it limits stress, you know, creates healthy bodies and minds, reduces aggression, I mean, depending on what you're doing. But it's just like, the green time is necessary. We didn't have a lot of, like, I mean, I know I definitely didn't have a lot of, I guess, screen time growing up. My summers were spent almost exclusively outside. My mother would ceremoniously remove me from the home and tell me to go play with my friends, and come back for lunch, out again, come back for dinner, and then I was out until dusk. That was my day. And I did that for like 2 months straight, and it was amazing. If you can offer that for your kids, awesome. Again, trying to find some sort of, trying to find any kind of activities for them to do. If you can afford it, go for it. There's also, I know, in certain areas, Toronto comes to mind. There were free programming. I know Vancouver, like here on the West Coast, bigger cities tend to have free programming as well, or summer programming that is at a discount. Here in the Okanagan, there like the Boys and Girls Clubs are amazing. Most of what they offer for anybody who's a member costs like nothing or like next to nothing. So it's really good, because then any family of any annual wage bracket can have options. You know, just because something's out there doesn't mean it should cost like an arm and a leg. Really, it comes down to that. Things that I want you to think about when it comes to just even at home, if you're going to give them time, if you're going to say, yep, you know what, let's think of access. You limit it, give it like I would say 1 hour, honestly, because I mean, anything more than that, and you could run the risk of them just getting into like old behaviors. There was a report that came out, one of the tips was let them earn their screen time. So for every, let's say, half an hour of screen time that they have, they must do like an hour's worth of like reading or helping out around the house, or like you can get creative with this. If there's anything that you needed to do, or you felt like doing with your kids, you can kind of cut these deals and be like, I'll give you an hour of Fortnite or whatever, but you're going to have to put in like 2 hours of this. Not only do they earn their time, you're also more or less creating a bit of a work ethic so that they understand that hard work gains rewards. Like I said before, and I'll bring it up again, cutting back on technology is really on the shoulders of the parents as well. Because if you tell your kids, oh, you're doing, way too much, you're on social media far too long, but then you're saying that as you're looking down at your iPad, and I've unfortunately had that moment, you're being hypocritical. So if you're going to cut back on your kids' time, make it a family affair and make sure that you're in this as well, and that everybody is held accountable. Again, for myself and my wife, we used to fall asleep watching TV. Since we cut out like the kind of technological ban for our kids, we started meditating. They started meditating, I started reading more. So that was how we would just kind of unwind before bed. And that's been working out really, really well. And it's helped bring the kids together with like us as well for the bedtime kind of like procedure, because they will meditate with my wife and I get to catch up on a little bit of reading or go over notes or whatever. And it's been really, really awesome. But we wouldn't be able to do that if myself and my wife, if we didn't step up and say, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do this together. Now, when I say setting the limits, don't make it super extreme. Don't be like, there's no screen time for like 2 months. Like that's just, you're asking for trouble at that point. You're not going to be able to cut any deals when you take on that kind of approach. So I would really suggest don't do that. Let them, and like I said, let them pick out their activities. And if they're going to say watch a movie, or if they're going to play a video game or whatever, for that time period that you've given them as their like reward for the day or the week or whatever, sit down with them. There are a number of parents that rely on the TV as a babysitter, and I know it's super, super easy, and there's moments where it feels super beneficial to be like, okay, they're watching a movie, now I can go get dinner ready or whatever. It's an easy trap to fall into though, because then you yourself become reliant on that device being the babysitter. That device is looking after your kids. And if you're not paying attention to what they're watching or what they're playing, then you could be opening up the door to all kinds of trouble. So when they have that opportunity to go online or watch Netflix or whatever, spend that time with them. You don't necessarily have to play the video game, because you may not know what the hell's going on, but at least you can sit down and ask and just be like, what are you doing? Who is this? Who is the main character? Like, are you the good guy? Is this a bad guy? Like, what's going on? You get to learn more about their interests, and they get to see you as a more involved parent. When you're parenting, you don't want to do it half-assed. You want to use the entire ass, and that's really, really important, because then they're like, hey, yeah, you know what? My parents embarrass me all the time, but at the same time, I appreciate them being interested. I appreciate them, wanting to know what I'm up to. They may not necessarily come out and say that. They would never say that. But, deep down, they're thinking it. We know it. I wanted to keep this brief and short because really there's not much more that I can say about this. I will say this though. If you're in a position where you're trying to really navigate how to handle this balance of like screen time versus the green time, give me a shout, and we can always try and problem solve this together. And I can also send some of the site, like I can cite some of the information like where I got it, and to bring to this discussion, and then we'll take it from there. Now, at the same time, anybody who's watching this, if you have your own suggestions, feel free to post them, and I will, or share them to me, and then I will post them to the group. that's what I'm trying to do with this whole thing. I don't want to just be a talking head. So let's try and make this happen. In any case, if there's not much more that I can really say about technology, kids, and the benefits of being outside, so I'm going to let you folks go. And like I said at the very beginning, August, we're going to have a special speaker. Kevin Vowles will be our guest speaker. And I would highly suggest that you don't miss that one. And other than that, I think we're good to go. The dog is barking. I need to find out what's happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, many blessings and blessed be.